Have you been bit? I said, have you been bit? Well, get in here then. Well, I'm glad you're not dead. Welcome to the Guild.
Isn't it lovely, Stevie, to be outside, isn't it?
I haven't been out here in ages, I feel like, you know.
Well, I mean, you've just got out of quarantine.
I thought we weren't going to talk about that then.
But, so what did they inject you with and where did they inject you?
Always with the personal questions. Well,
Because, I mean, I notice you're sitting down.
yeah.
So either you enjoy the pain or there was not so much bum stick.
There wasn't so much bum. You know when you get a flu vaccine, they put it in your shoulder?
I mean, strangely enough, they did me a thorough going over
Yeah.
when I first arrived to the compound.
Yeah.
And they said because I'm such a white trash asshole that I'm basically immune to everything, including raccoon bites.
Do you remember the shower scene from 12 Monkeys with Bruce Willis? Where they strip him naked and then they like hose him down and they use like brooms to scrub him clean?
It's the only thing I remember from 12 Monkeys.
Yeah, they told me that they do that to everybody.
I mean, they had to do it especially to me.
Yeah.
Because, you know, back in the old days, I was ripe. But I know when there's no compulsion to shower because the bloke next to you has been dead for 6 months.
Isn't it great though?
Isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, real estate is just so much cheaper now.
I mean, clearly you're coming out as an American. You're grasping that capitalist
This is all
nettle.
we think about, Ben.
Indeed.
Opportunity.
Whereas I think about helping people.
Well, that's just where you're naive.
And I think about helping people by going around. I rescued a Segway. Are you familiar with this?
Segway.
I rescued a Segway.
That's not a person.
No, it's a thing. It's a thing. You know those Segway things?
Yeah. Yeah.
I rescued one.
Yeah, Job from Arrested Development used to ride them around.
Your references of another world, Stephen. But yeah, I got on this Segway and I go around the compound.
Yeah. With a shotgun.
I mean, it's got a shotgun attachment.
Interesting.
Well, you've got to be armed, haven't you?
Around here these days, yeah.
Because I mean,
Or legged. I mean, if you saw the Quentin Tarantino film, which one was it? Planet Zombie?
Reference Man. It's this film about a guy who makes constant references to things.
This is what I do. I'm from the 1990s.
This is true. So yeah, I asked them questions. And as I said, as I spoke to Dan, who is actually a zombie, but actually quite a nice one.
I have to say that I object a little bit to this term zombie that you keep using.
Why?
Well, it doesn't seem to me to be quite appropriate to refer to the differently lived as zombies.
Well, the thing is, they're reclaiming it for themselves, so...
I mean, look, we're living in a majority-minority world now. Most people are zombies.
That's true.
And yet, here we are, acting as though we're superior to them.
Well, this is it. I mean, you know, if everyone's mad, is sanity just a form of madness?
That's very clever.
Isn't it?
That's very clever.
Anyway, I asked them these questions, right? Mm-hmm. And mostly people look at me with bemusement. But there are some board gamey people in the compound, and some of them answer the questions. Mm-hmm. And I know you're looking at me as if to think, wow, this premise is thinner than a buttered slice of toast in a butter shortage month. But
It's something about the apocalypse that really brings out your priorities. I mean,
exactly.
the things that are most important to you, that they really come to the fore. Not survival, not
Nope,
food.
No, helping people, treating disease.
Kind of low on the list.
I mean, I could be repairing people's legs. There's a lot of leg breakage.
I mean, let's face it, they're going to get infected and die anyway.
And then rise again.
And of course, you need to be tossing out sacrifices to the zombie hordes periodically to keep them at bay.
Well, it keeps them also docile, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And who are your best scapegoats in this situation?
What do you want? What do you want?
The weak.
Do you want, or do you want, I mean, what do you want? When it comes down to it.
If you're giving me a choice.
Yeah.
I think I like the lower pitched one.
It sounds calmer. They're
less
chill.
grating, yeah.
They're just there, they're sitting down, they're having
Yeah.
a chat, you know, they're pouring out a cup of coffee, which
Yeah.
is human brains, and they go,
Yeah.
murr,
Yeah.
murr,
Yeah.
murr.
This is their favorite food, yeah?
And then when they get onto the subject of, I don't know, pro-death, we're in the pro-death debate, then brains.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very sensitive subject.
Anyway, off subject. I asked some questions, and this time I went
Yes.
round on the Segway,
Yeah?
and I said to them, how important to you is winning?
In life?
In board games specifically.
Oh, in board games, okay.
Which is why most people don't answer me, because it's like, what? This is a thin premise, isn't it? They say to me. And I say, I don't know what you talk. Premise? Don't shatter the fourth wall, I say. This isn't Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
You mean the right. You mean the idea that we would actually be pretending to be sheltered against the teeming zombie hordes of the post-apocalyptic world, and yet somehow have time to talk about board games.
Always time to talk about board games, Steve.
I think it's the only thing I would do in that situation.
Exactly.
Excuse me, in this situation.
There's a compound you can go to, but you can only take 5 games with you, Steve.
Only 5. Well, how many of us are there?
Loads, so there's loads.
Yeah, so it's really fine.
But everyone chooses fucking Catan for some reason. Anyway, so I asked them, how important is winning?
How important is winning?
So you, as a upwardly mobile,
Thank you.
young capitalist in this brave new world.
Thank you for the young.
I mean, you strike me as vibrantly intelligent. Smolderingly sexy.
I'm not going to disagree.
How important to you is winning?
I've been thinking about this quite a bit.
Okay.
Because I think I proposed the question.
Right.
And let's be honest, this comes up a lot in our group when we play games. I think the audience should know. Is there an audience? Is anyone actually listening to this?
I don't think so, no.
Doesn't seem likely.
Well, I transmit it over the what are they called? The PA system?
The tannoy?
The tannoy?
Yeah.
Over the tannoy.
Yeah.
So they're kind of forced to when people are labouring in the fields.
This is for the zombies or for the
All of us.
the peasants that, excuse me, I shouldn't use the term peasant. Who's doing the work for us in this compound? Who's
Those-
actually out there like harvesting food so we can continue to live? Because it's not me.
It's the people who used to work in merchant banking. Isn't this a wonderful world?
Poetic justice.
Venture capital, potato capital, dick fuck.
Thinly veiled it may be, but this is the kind of premise I can warm up to.
Exactly. Some guy said to me, but I don't understand how these stocks and bonds, and I said, just dig a bloody potato, dickhead. And he had
As you do.
blisters on his hands because he'd never worked a day in his life. Unlike me.
Should you give him a little spanking as well?
Yeah.
A little whipping?
I did, but he enjoyed that because that harkened back to his Wall Street days.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, back to
Yeah.
the point. How important for you is
Yeah, so as
the
I was saying before we had the sidebar,
Yeah.
you and I play games together quite often, and this comes
do.
up because there are some people that we play with for whom winning seems to be of paramount importance. And I think if you don't really analyze the question very much, then you would probably say, well, it's sort of in the spirit of play that you should be attempting to win,
Right.
but you don't want to try to win so much that you're actually making it a terrible time for everybody else.
Well, I guess it comes
should be a
down-
fun occasion.
It
right?
comes down to what is the purpose of gaming, right? Why do you game?
I think I game because it's fun. I mean, if I really thought about it, I might say that.
I cannot believe a mariachi band survived the apocalypse. Isn't it wonderful?
Wait, are you sure that's not a recording from a long dead age?
I don't think it is. I think it's real.
When people still experienced joy.
I'll go and investigate later, but I think it's a living mariachi band. Like that band.
Does that imply that there's Mexican food around here?
Let's hope.
I haven't had a fucking taco in months. Ever since we found those corpses out back,
But-
the zombies had left.
But there was you had a lot of tacos, didn't you, as you were fleeing the city, Steve?
Ah, very good.
Anyway, yeah. So it boils down to what is the purpose of gaming for you? Why do you game?
This is much deeper than is winning important. Why do I game? I'm sure that part of it is the cerebral challenge, but I mean, it's so much fun. There's something magical about it. I mean, when I was a kid, I played lots of Milton Bradley and Parker Brothers board games. They were kind of stupid and without any real point. Life, Mousetrap. Mousetrap was kind of great at the end, but that's about it. Monopoly, I played loads of Monopoly growing up. And at a certain point, I think you kind of went through this yourself, you encounter games that are altogether on a different level. They're still board games, but when you tell people that you play board games, they're still thinking about like Risk and Life and Scrabble and things like that. but this is an entirely different kind of genre. I mean, it seems qualitatively different. I mean, maybe a question we should ask is, are these other kinds of like family style board games?
Well, that's an interesting thing, isn't it? Because someone might say, if you say it's qualitatively different, you'll say it's a posh way of saying these games are better than those games.
No, I would say that some games are, I mean, we can get into that. Some games seem to be on purpose games for children. Some games are, I don't know.
Monopoly's not a game for children, though, right? Monopoly is targeted at a family, which implies that adults also should derive some enjoyment from it.
Yeah, I suppose so. Maybe it's a matter of design then.
But I mean, in your past life, right, you were an academic.
That was so long ago, I can barely remember.
But, I mean, do you think you can objectively say some things are better than others?
No, we try not to do that, Ben.
But nevertheless.
When I say qualitatively different, I don't mean qualitatively superior. Certainly the experience for me was of games that had a different kind of, I don't know, thoughtfulness put into their design. I would never say that in a universal sense the games are better.
But is that just not a posh way of saying they're better? They had more thought put into their design. There seems to be more rigor in the process. All you're saying is, this one is better than this one, no?
I mean, it's like,
and you just don't want to sound like a dickhead about it, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like when you're sort of looking at your list of friends and you're thinking like, well, you know, which one of my friends do I like better? You don't really want to do that. And yet,
oh no, you do literally every day of your life.
Well, I mean, who you choose to spend your time with.
And you want to rejig that list every sort of 5 minutes to decide who pisses you off the most.
Yeah, and of course we can't say universally any game is better than anyone else, but as with people, who and what we choose to spend our time with kind of speaks volumes about what we actually think.
If there's no universality of value, what is the point in having a conception of value then?
I think I probably left academia to avoid conversations like this.
But it's true though, right? If you can't say, and what is that based on? Is that based on consensus? I mean, I would tend to value not, because, you know, pre the apocalypse, it was all comic book films, which I think are abysmal.
Thank God we're past that.
Well, isn't
we never have to watch
Isn't it wonderful that all the hard discs got wiped and all the stock of Marvel movies got wiped away? So all we have is that box of Akira Kurosawa films.
Yeah, and our memories.
And our memories, Steve.
Those of us who haven't had our memories wiped.
Indeed. Okay, so, anyway.
I want to get back to the subject of fun, though, right? Like, games have this ludic potential.
I don't know whose fucking show this is, but yeah, carry on.
You're asking me the question, right? I'm trying to give you a real answer here.
Very contentious. Go on.
Yeah.
Speak.
I think you've talked in the past about this idea of like homo ludens, right? You know, man at play or something, people at play, mankind.
There is the
play.
There is the theory that it is structured play, rules that separate us from the animal kingdom, right? You see dogs playing. There's no rules to that game. You see humans playing. It is intrinsic. Even little children make rules. You can't go past that line. You can't throw it there.
This
right?
Yes. Okay. So to that extent, yeah, I agree with you. But it's in thinking about the way children play and how improvisational it is that made me wonder whether you could in fact play a board game and not really try to win it. I mean, can you just have a kind of open-ended play within the confines of a game where the rules have been decided for you? If people are deliberately trying to sabotage the game, is that going to ruin it for everybody else? I mean, it depends. You could be playing chess competitively, and if you deliberately try to sabotage the game, I mean, you're just going to lose probably that much more quickly. Now, your competitor is not going to get anything out of that, because people often play these games because they want to be challenged, they want to improve their own game, they want to get better at it.
Well, this is the point, isn't it? There are some games for which you can play them without the desire of winning, and the game still functions. And so, as an example, I don't know if you've ever played GTA.
Grand Theft Auto?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But these open world games, have you ever had one of those nights where all you do is you just sort of drive around in the car and you hop out of one car and get into another and knock people over, and you don't try and do any missions, you don't try and win, you don't try and complete the game, you just survive within the world of the game. I think open world games can offer a sense of play where winning is not important. Okay, so we'll go to, so I was speaking to Storm Chaser, that's Dean Liggett.
Catchy name.
Liggett is a very catchy name, yeah. It's like a ligature. That's what serial killers use to tie up their victims. So I'm not sure I've ever played a game without trying to win, but winning itself is not that important to me. If it's the first time playing, then trying a strategy different from the other players is usually what I do. If it's a game I'm experienced at and I'm playing with new players as casual gamers, I'll pull some punches so they don't get a sour taste. If it's a game that everyone has experience with, then it becomes a death match. Winner-take-all event with trash-talking, hair-pulling, eye-scratching. My wife says it's very hot to see grown men in a dogfight.
A little bit skeptical about that last remark.
Me too. But
Does the dogfight entail 3 grown men staring down at a table, not speaking, while they try and autistically calculate every single move that anyone could possibly make in order to optimize their path to the end of the game?
Dogfight. And he shouted at me as I was going away on the Segway, "I host the Board Game Buffet podcast," is what he said to me as I was leaving. But one thing that's really interesting here, see, I'm not very good at games. So there are loads of people who say that, and it's bullshit. I'm genuinely, my cognitive functions don't work in that way. Why I play games so much is completely beyond me, but...
You mean you're not good at them in that you don't tend to win them?
Yeah. Can you play a game in which you're pulling your punches, in which you're playing suboptimally, and especially, you know, the kind of games you play, you're very much into Euro games, your Splotter games, that sort of thing. Can you play a game where you're playing suboptimally to let other people enjoy the game? Can you do that and enjoy playing it?
Well, I don't often find myself needing to pull punches. I don't do things like, you know, hate draft or take things I don't need just to deprive them of other people. Things of that nature that are just kind of antisocial. And I know that there's some controversy about whether or not it's okay to do these things. I just tend not to do them. I mean, I don't see the point really, like hurting other people's feelings in order to win the game. I mean, I don't play competitively. I don't play any game enough that I'm ever really going to become good at it. And to be honest, I find most of these Euro games, I would not go so far as to say that they're just puzzles that you're kind of playing on your own, sort of independently of the other players around the table. But they're so complex, I think, in their design. They can't be perfect. They're all kind of like broken in some way. They can probably be figured out. There's probably some optimal strategy that will tend to do better than other strategies. And in that kind of situation, you know, why think so much about what you're doing? Just like pick something to do and do it, hope for the best outcome. Now that said, some people do seem to be good at picking up on the way these games work better than others,
right?
And just sort of winning all the time.
What's super interesting, because what he refers to here as sort of bad form is being good at a game and destroying players, right? Mm-hmm. I don't consider that bad form at all. I think if you can leverage your strategy, even if they're new players to the game, I think that's fine. What is bad form for me is when and you touched on it earlier, is when you sacrifice everyone else's enjoyment to optimize your game, right? So when you monopolize the time of the game 3-1, just because you want to eke out that extra victory point, so you want to do this in a certain way, that's bad form. Being good at a game is never bad form to me, because I don't give a shit if I'm 20 points behind, right?
Yeah, and this is kind of what I agree with. There have been occasions where I felt like I've been taking too long with my turn, but it's the environment you end up being in, right? The other players are doing that, and you see yourself falling behind. You start to feel, I mean, you shouldn't feel bad about your performance in a board game, but you end up feeling bad, especially if you lose pretty often. And you know, you can maybe come up with a better turn if you think about what you're doing a little bit longer. But then, I don't know, I personally end up feeling guilty when I do that I'm just wasting everybody's time, and it's not ultimately going to make a difference in the end.
But of course it's not dependent on how well you do. So we played a game recently, right, Guikd, in which I ended up doing reasonably well.
Yeah, you did better than I did. In fact, I came in last.
And I detested every second of that game, even though I sort of worked out kind of what you should do to do reasonably well. Because being good at something, being good at a game is not important. It's, are you enjoying the journey to being good?
What do you mean?
are the puzzle pieces you're putting together to develop your strategy fun, or are they frustrating and unenjoyable?
Give me a counter example. A game where these puzzle pieces, when you put them together, creates a delightful experience.
Through the Ages.
Tell me, I've only played a little bit of that.
Has hundreds of different levers that you can pull at particular times. But whereas with Gugong, I felt like the game was limiting your possibilities in a frustrating way.
You like to be able to plan ahead, is that it?
Right. And Through the Ages allows you, within a certain realm, to be able to say, okay, if I do this now and I do this next turn and I do this, I could get this.
I think it's a little bit unfair because in any game that you're playing, the game state is constantly changing and you need to respond and react to that.
That's fine.
In Gugong, maybe it was changing in a way that you...
Tactical is fine, but to the point where it limits what you can do, where it feels just like... And it's not like the players can look at your state and go, if I do that, then I'll limit them. No, the game just willfully limits what you can do. And that is frustrating for me.
Do you think that this game was different than other games that we play and that you couldn't actually be good at it? Because we kind of saw that if you put the same kind of thought into playing that game as any other Euro game, you would tend to succeed more.
But I didn't enjoy the process of playing the game. And that's where we're coming down to, I guess. For me, winning is not
so you're suggesting,
function.
Okay, even if I'm not enjoying the game, I get something out of winning it. I mean, that's certainly not the case for me.
No.
And maybe it is for some people.
The person we play Gugong with, for instance.
Don't say his name.
They could be...
We don't speak it around here.
Well, we don't want him to rise again, do we? But the point is, he could spend 3 hours bored out of his mind. If he won at the end, he would love the game.
I've never seen him bored.
Which is weird.
Have you?
So anyway, Danny Perello, who is relaxed. I wonder how relaxed he is in this nightmare monster apocalypse world, says, I think if you're going to enter into the social contract of play, you should follow the expected behaviour. If attempting to win is the expectation, then certainly try, but don't hinge all possible enjoyment on that single outcome. If everyone but you is trying to win and you're just goofing off, acting as some random element, spoiling plans by chance, it's likely that you'll ruin the experience for a large number of people. Conversely, if you're the only one actively trying to win and everyone else is simply there for society, you will again be spoiling things.
This, I think, is the best answer that I saw in the lot.
Explain why.
I mean, it's closest to my feeling about the situation, that you should not just be so strict about following rules per se, but understand the nature of the group that you're in. Like, things are always contingent. And it's not like absolutely necessary that you always be trying to win, but why? Like, would you cheat in a game? I mean, this is certainly against...
What?
Excuse me?
Carry on.
This is certainly against expected behavior, but like, let's take Trade on the Tigris as an example. We've played a little bit of this game recently, and what I think is brilliant about this game is that, first of all, during the trading phase, you're limited to 5 minutes, right? This can't possibly drag on for longer and become boring and frustrating. It's 5 minutes, it's only 5 minutes, so it regulates the kind of the tension and the urgency of the trading phase really well. In addition, however, you're told explicitly that you have to be honest about the trades that you're offering to a point. But then there are these special cards that when you get them, it says you can lie about what this is. If you were able to just lie all the time, or if you were cheating and breaking the rules constantly, it's very hard to develop any kind of sense of like norms for play. And it's not just frustrating, it just seems like, well, really pointless, right? Winning has actually no meaning in that context, but then play has no meaning, because like you said, it has to be structured somehow. But I like when you have a structure that then the game itself gives you the opportunity to violate, because that is a surprise. That's interesting. That's fun in a way. Even when it happens to you, it's fun because you didn't see it coming. And I've noticed when I've given you these cards, like, your face doesn't change at all because you know exactly what you have to do, which is get rid of that as quickly as possible without letting on that you've got it.
But doesn't the type of game dictate the attitude you should have to it? So if you're playing Skull King, right?
Yeah.
You can sit around and play Skull King and not really care. And caring about winning and trying to win are two different things, I think. But you can sit around and play Skull King and say, okay, fine. I don't necessarily need to play to win or focus or have a real sort of focused idea of what I want to do and still really enjoy the game.
Well, play a trick-taking game where you have a partner.
But if you're playing Trajan, or you're playing Trade on the Tigris, or you're playing Antiquities, a game that requires a depth of thought, but also has a definite outcome into which way you win, then you should, if you're the person sat at the table, everyone's dicking around not caring. In that case, if you're the one trying to win, you're the one who's in the right? And those people shouldn't be A, either acting in that way, or B, playing that game. They should be playing something else, which is more casual, which is less important, which winning and strategizing and being good and manipulating the system is less of a factor.
Are you saying
no?
that you disagree with Mr. Perillo?
I'm saying the game dictates.
Yeah.
I'm saying the game dictates the attitude you should have towards it in some cases. The group doesn't always.
I think it's unlikely.
dictate the
I think it's unlikely that a group like that will find itself playing Antiquity to begin with.
Absolutely. But sometimes people flump into these things and don't really know what they're doing, right?
Well, maybe we're getting the idea of playing to win confused with the importance of winning. I mean, you should play as though you're attempting to win, maybe is the idea here, but if you're going to be crestfallen if you lose, maybe you shouldn't be playing board games. I mean, there are some people who can probably win all the time. Like, they seem to have that personality type where they can always win if they want to. I mean, or nothing will stop them from attempting to win. And it will just happen for them more often than not. And they'll be playing with people for whom it's not as important. And for me, like, I win once in a while. Often enough that it's fine for me. But I don't need to win every time. I don't feel like an idiot if I don't win games all the time. I actually find games that are really well designed if everyone finishes kind of in the same area on the score track. That seems to me to be a decent game.
Well, what about expectation?
God, this mariachi band is really...
They really picked up. So what about expectation? I find the only time I get disappointed with my position in a game is if I'm playing the game and I think I'm doing really fucking well here. And then when the game finally shakes out, I'm in last place. Then I'm genuinely pissed off with that. And I shouldn't be. And I mean, the pissed off doesn't last long, but still, I just think, fuck, I really thought I was doing well here, and now I'm crap.
Well, congratulations, a board game actually stirred an emotion inside you, and you're still found to be capable of demonstrating some kind of humanity, even after all that's happened to us.
So, Creve Dog, Charlotte Malone, I was speaking to her outside the infirmary, and she said, I had a revelation a few months back playing Root with my weekly game group. It had become obvious who was going to win on the next turn, and the person who usually wins suggested we scoop. I imagine that means finish now. And I said I wanted to play it out, just to see how I placed. And the scooper said, I'm going to do the voice now. I'm going to do the voice.
Yeah.
Unless you're going to get 10 points, it doesn't matter. I assume that's how they laugh. And I realised she did an ellipsis with four full stops there, Steve.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Well, maybe there should be a space after the fourth one at
I mean, what
least.
do you mean ellipsis? I was speaking to her in real life, and I realised, because I seldom do win, how I place is extremely important to me. But since he always wins, it's that or nothing. Second, third, fourth, ellipsis with 4 dots. Doesn't matter. And I don't think he's right or I'm right, it's just different in how we look at it. So firstly, how do you feel about coitus interruptus?
Again, personal question, Ben.
Yeah.
Haven't even had the opportunity in a long time, ever since she left me for them.
Well, indeed. But, so, one thing that really knocks me off is this...
Is that a Britishism?
What?
To be narked off?
Yes.
Does it mean what I think it means?
Annoyed.
Okay. That's not what I thought.
One thing that really knocks me off is if we get into the last round and go, oh, well, we know who's going to win, let's just finish now. I want the game completed. I want to play to the end. No,
I definitely need closure in a game. I think this is obnoxious when people say this, especially if the person in the lead points out there's no possible way that you can win, therefore, why bother? Like, I've already dominated you.
ABC, Steve.
Right? Dominating the situation much less the game. It feels like bullying in a way.
ABC, Steve.
ABC.
Always be closing, Steve.
Ah, yeah.
You know what cough is for?
Put the coffee down.
Exactly. So firstly, the scooper,
Yeah.
he probably got eaten by zombies, so that's fine. She didn't tell me when I asked her, she didn't say. Probably been eaten by zombies, so that's okay. But yeah, firstly, I don't find that acceptable. And it's interesting that she says this guy doesn't really care because he wins games a lot.
I mean, you know what zombies' favorite food is, right?
Yeah,
Well, this is why we're safe.
exactly. But the thing is, it's interesting. I like to see how a game shakes out.
Yeah.
But it's interesting what she says about,
It suggests that only first place matters.
right, second is first loser.
What is the sort of the outcome, the fruits of my labor here? Like, I want to see how this story ends, essentially, right?
But do you ever rejig your priorities mid-game?
If I see that I'm not going to win.
And you think, I just want to achieve this then.
Oh, all the time.
I want to build this, make sure I build
yeah.
this building, or I achieve this goal.
I'll set a goal for myself that's different than just winning. And I'll be perfectly satisfied if I can accomplish that. Like, I'll have figured something out. Yeah, sure. I think this is fine. Do you do that?
All the time. Because I never win, right? So for me, it's about achievement.
Oh, you occasionally win.
Sometimes.
It's like
really.
a holiday. I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
And I have to say that you're extremely obnoxious and ungracious about it.
Always. I mean, also when I win.
Yeah, no,
And the point is, though, I think it's interesting, but I don't really care where I place, except when I do. And it comes back to that thing of disappointment. When I think I'm doing well, and then it turns out in the end I'm not, that breaks my heart.
well, let me ask you this. Do you prefer
Right.
games in which your progress is tracked and visible throughout the game, or you only find out at the end how well you did?
Both. I mean, it depends. But I'm thinking about, it's always happened to me in every Player Forum Trianum I played, right? That I would leap out into the lead in the first round and think, right, I'm doing really well here. And this is a game that tracks per round. And then at the end, I would always come last. For whatever reason. Because I'm not very bright. But that would disappoint me. But there are games where you don't know how many points you're scoring, and if I come last, well, no, they don't bother me because you don't know, right? You can have an idea, but you don't know.
This was the situation in Gugong where you thought you were doing terribly, but a large number of points weren't calculated until the very end.
but very.
And it turned out that you did pretty well. You didn't actually seem to care that you did that well.
No, and everyone was saying, "Oh, look," because I was being a real bitch about it.
Yeah.
A real moody bitch about it. Terrible.
Really, really bad.
But, and then people were saying, "But look, Ben, you scored loads of points." And I was like, "I don't care. It took 4 hours for some reason."
So obviously winning is not the point here. It's the experience that you have while you're at the table. I mean, there are a lot of other things you could be doing than spending 3 to 4 hours on a Thursday night or whatever the case may be going through this, if the only point is to win.
But here we come back to the Good Doctor.
Is this a Doctor Who reference?
It's Dr. Reiner Knizia reference. So
Aha.
Ben Tinney, penguinized, I asked him, and he gave me a Knizia quote, which is, when playing a game, the goal is to win, but it is the goal that is important, not the winning.
Okay.
And
Sentiment seems to be in line with what we've been saying.
absolutely. And what you have a marker in the sand that you need to reach. That would be great to reach, rather than need to. It's great to reach, but not reaching that marker is fine. And that's the important thing. And that's why when people say, "Oh, I don't try to win," then why are you playing these games? Now, you should try to win. It's just don't be a pissy little bitch if you don't win, right? That's what it is.
I mean, I think everybody should be given the opportunity to play to the best of their ability. And I mean, I think some people have a hard time figuring out games and how they should be playing them. And this can be frustrating. And even more obnoxious behavior then scooping. This is a new term for me, by the way.
Yeah, I've never heard it
We
before.
have to start using that.
It's usually what I did with my fiskees.
Very good. Can we use this term from now on, but not actually explain it to other people?
Yeah. Oh God, he really wanted to scoop.
Fucking scooper.
Oh my God! Did you see that guy the other night really trying to scoop? I couldn't believe
Trying to
it.
fucking scooping all the time.
Are you?
Scooping is obnoxious.
I hope you're not a scooper. That's how people laugh.
I haven't been scooped like that since high school. Anyway, more obnoxious to me is the player who can sort of, I don't know, they create this mental model of the game in their head, and then they start telling other players how they should take their turns, right? They sort of
Right.
say, they see for themselves, well, the most logical move for you to take is to do this, because then he's going to do that, and then she's going to do this, and then I'm still going to win.
You know what's really
So
interesting?
why are you sitting there thinking about what to do when obviously you need to
You just do this.
Take that piece, remove that.
Because it's going to make no difference.
Right.
It's like, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
This is not your game. It's not a single-player game. It's a multiplayer game, and that is part of the social contract that you sign.
And then even worse, you'll be accused. Well, if you do that, you're going to make him win,
right.
right?
And you know,
Fuck off with that.
All this king-making shit.
Yeah.
I don't give a monkeys. I mean, gaming is one of these areas where you can be really selfish. You can focus solely on yourself. In life, you don't get to. That's one of the attractions of gaming. I can do this because it makes me feel good. And not to the expense of other people, but just because it makes me feel good, and I don't have to consider the ramifications for other people because the ramifications are baked into this game.
You know, this answers
So I
your
will
question.
not do what you fucking tell me. Someone wrote a song about that, didn't they?
Which one?
Fuck me, I won't do what you tell me.
That's a great song.
Simon and Garfunkel, wasn't it?
Yeah. I'm glad that we rescued that tape. It's a tape, right?
Oh, it's a tape, yeah.
Yeah. Do we have any tape players?
Of course we don't. I just hold it to my ear.
That's a shame.
It's nice. It sort of vibrates.
The wind sort of whistles through it.
Exactly.
You get a few notes here and there, a few chords. No, but this goes back to your question before. I think I think that you can treat gaming as an occasion, right? What do I get out of gaming? I think you asked, or why do I do it? Well, I get this sort of, and are you good at games, right? You think that you're not good at games, but I mean, obviously you're capable of learning these types of games pretty quickly, but also, if I may say so, and I've said this to you before, you make the experience more interesting and entertaining and more fun, and I am kind of there for that. I'm not there just to win the game. I mean, when I'm playing, I'm playing in the spirit of the game, which is to attempt to win, but I'm also there for the occasion of the game, for the drama of the game.
It would be a solely competitive pursuit. You would go home, you would read all the strategy guides, you would play the game on your own, you would work out every permutation so that when you came to the table, you would be undefeatable.
I kind of wonder if this is why so many games now, like so many Kickstarters, they offer a solo variant as a stretch goal. I can't imagine playing any of these games by myself. I mean, if I really wanted to become good at a game, I could become good at chess or Go or something, but like not a fucking Euro game. I mean, there's probably a Euro game that's like so well designed it's worth becoming good at.
Especially these Euro games that haven't had 2,000 years of reiteration to make them viable competitive games.
I love the novelty, I love the art, I love the experience of novelty with other players that I enjoy playing with. I mean, it is the total occasion that I'm in it for, and winning a game that I'm playing for the first time or even the fifth time, it has such little meaning that I shouldn't put that above, I think, the experience that I'm having, unless I'm in a competition. And then, you know, I played in a Robo Rally competition, 20 years ago. And in this case, you know, it's okay to take a little while for your turn. Now, generally in competitions, they will have a timer, and you can't just take forever with your turn. But in casual play, we don't do that, right? We expect these sort of the social norms of the group to dictate that you're not going to be a twat, as you like to put it.
Exactly, I pronounce it in exactly that manner as well.
Twat, or is it twat?
I'm not giving you elocution lessons.
I'm trying to learn the common tongue of the post-apocalyptic world, in which cultures are merging in order to form a universal post-zombie patois.
That's a beautiful sentence.
Thank you.
Yeah, so anyway, I think we've rattled the bones out of that. And, well...
But there's one topic that remains to be explored in this area.
What?
Co-ops. Is it important when you're playing a co-op to always be trying to win.
Well, this depends, doesn't it, on what you mean by trying to win. Does trying to win mean telling everyone what to do on their turn? Then no. What you should be trying to beat the game, of course you should. But it all boils down to that fundamental thing that everyone here says, is that games are not fundamentally about winning. You should be trying to win, but it's not the supreme goal. Because if it is the supreme goal, you then end up ruining the experience. It's about people sitting around a table, enjoying each other's company, and learning about being with other people, because we constantly learn and refine what it is to live in society. And are board games beneficial? In one sense, yes. They get you out of the house, they sit you around a table with people and give you an enjoyable time. And fundamentally, that's why people work, because what they're doing is banking money to expend on enjoyment. And if that is playing games, that's an end in itself.
Well, I feel like we've barely scratched the surface of this topic.
Who's hosting this? That's a host sentence.
Does that seem like a concluding remark?
Yeah, and I'm the one who dictates here, all right?
Just please don't lock me out in the cold again tonight.
So anyway, but Janine is off on zombie cleaning for the next 3 weeks. So she's off in the old city. So basically I'm alone for the next few weeks. So
and it's been a pretty chilly spring, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Are you going to be all right?
No, it's fine. I'm just going to go and see if I can get the zombie of Zach de la Rocha to rap me a few bars of bomb track.
I don't know what that means, but it sounds great.
If you want to get in the guild, first, stick some of your tummy water in this little bottle. Then, go to Board Game Geek Guild number 3209. Now, I don't expect them radioactive spores to be decontaminated themselves. Get out there, you lazy so-and-so.